Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Cadena. As you can tell, my voice is still a little off, but we're getting there. Boys and girls, this is week 3 of our informational text writing, and this is video 1. This week there are only going to be 2 videos for you to watch, and they're all about doing research and asking yourself a question to write your informational text. So, first things first, I want you to think back to last week when it was your job to brainstorm a topic and choose a topic. So, you better have one. So right now, put that topic in your brain. Make sure you've got it and you can tell someone. Okay, so now turn to your neighbor and tell them what your topic is. Okay, so bring it back. You should all have been able to tell your neighbor what your topic is, because on Friday when we were at the library, you all were supposed to pick out one of those books that we can do research on. So just make sure that you're ready to ask yourself a question, because the next step in doing research is being able to ask yourself a question that you want the answer to. So if you remember, I picked softball as my topic. So last week I showed you my my glove and my softball, and that's the topic I ended up choosing for my informational text. And I, at the library, found a book in order to do my research on softball, because I know some about it, but I don't know a lot. So I need to learn some more. So the next step is to ask ourselves a question about our topic. If you remember doing our Hunks and Chunks song where we had the WH, what, it's a question word. Who, what, when, where, why, and which. I really want you to think about that, because when you're asking yourself a question, those are those question words that we're going to start with. So here are some of those question words. So who, what, when, where, why, and instead of which, we're going to ask ourselves how. So I'm going to think about softball and think, can I ask myself a question that starts with who about softball? So if I'm thinking the question word who, it might be who plays softball? Who plays softball? Is that a big enough question for my research project? Maybe, maybe not. What about the what? What kind of question could I ask with what and softball? Can you whisper to your neighbor a question that you could ask with the word what? Okay, turn it back, and I'm hoping some of you maybe just asked the question, what is softball? That's a pretty basic question. What is softball? You might have said, what is the game of softball, or something like that. I'm looking at when and where, and I just don't think that those are going to be big enough questions to do research on. So I'm going to skip down to the why and think, why do people play softball? Why do people play softball? And as I think about that, I'm not sure I could really research that. I might only be able to find opinions of why people play. So I'm not sure that's a really good research question. So the last one I want to focus on is the how. And a lot of times how is a really great start to a research question. So, how with softball? How could I ask a question about that? I want you to help me out. Can you please whisper to your neighbor a question we could ask about, starting with the question word how? Okay, bring it back. I hope you maybe said something like, how do you play softball? Or how did the game of softball get started? How did softball get started? And I'm thinking that if I ask that question, how did softball get started, I could probably also cover how do you play it. So as I look at the 4 questions that I made, I'm going to try and pick out the best one, and I really think my how question is the best one. So your job today is to take the graphic organizer that I have for you with the question words on it, and you need to think about your topic and write down all the possible questions you could ask yourself about that topic. And then in tomorrow's video we will talk about taking notes from the books that you have for research. So again, right after this video is done, I need you to go get out your writing binders and get the graphic organizer that I give you, and I need you to write down some questions you can ask yourself that would help you do some research on your topic. Thanks so much.